55 pounds off for 8 years now. I lost and regained the same 20 pounds more times than I care to think about, and it's miserable. But I have finally figured it out. I'm gonna show you the 5 steps to lose weight and actually keep it off forever. Step 1 is to know what you're aiming for. Most people choose to shoot for a random number that they weighed in high school or pre-kids, or the weight of someone else that they thought looked great on Instagram. And that is not a real goal. That is not gonna change your life. You might have a vision, but do you have an anti-vision? Have you thought about why you actually wanna change? Write down everything you're tired of feeling. Literally, pause the video right now, go and get a pen, and we're gonna write them down. If you don't change, these things won't either. You're gonna wake up feeling tired, avoiding mirrors, feeling out of control around certain foods, and dread those occasions where you have to wear proper pants instead of stretchy leggings. Now, write the opposite of each thing you wrote down. Those are your real goals. Do you see any numbers on this piece of paper? When I finally wrote mine down, I realized that none of them were about a number. They were about how I wanted to feel when I woke up. But I was doing what most people do, which is fixating on what the scale said. Now, don't get me wrong, the number is important. I'll get onto that in a bit, but it is only part of the story. The day this clicked for me was when I was actually already making progress, but I just couldn't see it. One of my close friends bought me a pair of new gym leggings for my birthday in a size medium. I actually snorted out loud and laughed at the ridiculousness of fitting into them. I was so obsessed with the end goal number on my scale that I completely missed the fact that my body was changing. Everyone else could see it, and yeah, those size medium leggings, they did fit me, but until that moment, I was still miserable because I wasn't at that number. My weight was just one tiny piece of data about my progress, but I was letting it control everything. Now, I am not saying don't have a weight goal in mind. In fact, having a concrete, measurable data point is super helpful, but choose it based on what really matters to you. Like, what would a healthy weight look like for your height objectively? What would losing 5 or 10% of your body weight look like? Maybe start there. And here's the absolute game changer that helped me transform my relationship with the scale. Switch the units you use. If you are used to weighing yourself in pounds, start using kilos, and vice versa. Then you are not constantly comparing yourself to that old goal. A lot of the emotion is going to get stripped out from that moment each day when you step on the scale. It just becomes a meaningless number, a data point that shows you whether or not you are trending in the right direction. And that is exactly the kind of cold, hard, analytical approach that will actually allow you to finally make progress. So now you know what you're aiming for and you know how to measure it. That's step 1. Step 2 is pick something that you can actually stick with. Let's just be honest, most weight loss plans sound great on paper until real life happens. I had one client who tried 47 diets in 2 years. I am not even making this up. Sounds wild, but it's only actually restarting her diet twice each month. I mean, how many times have you started and restarted so far this year? I had tried everything too, and I mean everything. Weight Watchers, I was like a walking, talking points book. Anyone else remember those? And I became obsessed with gaming the system. I would save all my points up for wine, and I'd like make all these smart choices with 0-point snacks and then wonder why I was starving all the time. Or meal plans I bought off some influencer online. I spent more than I care to think about on those. But they never actually worked with my life, and I had no idea what to do if I was traveling for work or I was eating at a friend's house. So I usually stuck to them for about a week at most, and I'm embarrassed to say that actually most of them, I read through them, never actually even tried them. So then I thought, let's give intermittent fasting a go. I tried 16-8, but this girl needs to eat in the mornings, so didn't do that. Then it was 5-2. Now that one, the concept sounded pretty good. You only have to be hungry 2 days a week, and that was actually pretty doable. I'd have an egg-based breakfast for a couple hundred calories, some soup, and then a small dinner. 800 calories was a breeze. The thing is, I lost 0 weight. Now I know it's because I just make up the missing calories on the other 5 days. Anyway, that wasn't the end of it. I tried paleo, clean 9, Whole30, juice cleanses, meal replacement shakes, Slim Fast. Anyone else do that? I made up my own diet where I just ate a tin of Heinz soup for lunch and a tin of ravioli for tea. I can't believe I used to do this. Wow. I mean, that actually did work, by the way. Please tell me your unhinged diets in the comments so I feel less insane. So most of the time I would lose some weight. I would feel amazing for a few weeks and then real life would hit. A stressful week at work, a social weekend, everything would fall apart. I'd feel like a failure and I would just gain back more than I lost. What I finally figured out, and this might surprise you because it surprised me, was every single one of those diets were actually just trying to do the same thing. They all created a calorie deficit, that's it. Whether it was from limiting the time I could eat or the types of food I could eat, or if like Weight Watchers, I was literally pseudo tracking my food. So the problem wasn't the diets as such. If I could just stick to them, they would work on paper. The problem was they were unsustainable for my actual life. So the solution is creating a calorie deficit that you can actually live with. Now, your calorie deficit is gonna look different from mine, and that's okay. If you're smaller, your body burns fewer calories at rest. A 5'2" woman is gonna have a lower metabolic rate than a 5'8" woman, for example. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you because your calorie goals are lower. It just means that you might need to be a bit more strategic with your food choices. Or if you're someone who can move a lot, you can fit in extra walks, you can work out multiple times per week, maybe you're on your feet all day at work, you're gonna have more flexibility with your food. You can eat more and you can still lose weight because you're burning more. On the other side of the coin, if you're dealing with injuries or chronic pain, or you can't fit a lot of exercise into your life right now, that's okay too. You might just need to focus on the food side and accept that weight loss is gonna be a bit slower. That's not a failure. That's working with your body and the reality of your circumstances, rather than trying to shoehorn yourself into a plan that was never going to work for you and then being disappointed when you don't get the results you want. The key is picking a deficit that doesn't make you miserable and that you can achieve even on a tough day. Because if it's too big of a deficit, you're going to be tired, hungry, obsessed with food. You'll eventually break and you'll overeat. But if it's too small of a deficit, you might not see results fast enough to stay motivated. For most women, a deficit of around 500 calories per day works well. It's about a pound of weight loss a week, which sounds crazy slow compared to probably everything else you've ever tried. But let me ask you this, what's better? 6 weeks of kind of easy weight loss at 1 pound every single week, weight loss is actually fat loss, not water weight, or 1 week of losing 5 pounds of water and 1 pound of fat, but starving yourself, running on fumes, and then being right back where you started after a weekend of insatiable cravings get the better of you. Here's how I think about it now. Instead of asking, what is the fastest way to lose weight? I ask, how can I eat less than I burn in a way that I'm actually gonna stick with until I reach my goal? For me, that looks like that deficit of around 500 calories. How you eat is also super important so that you don't notice that deficit too much. Protein at every meal keeps you full and preserves muscle. Vegetables with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lots of volume, not too many calories. It's not sexy. It's not some snazzy meal plan with a secret answer, but it is what works when life gets hectic. When my kid's sick and I'm juggling work deadlines and the endless laundry piles staring at me and my husband is working away, I can still do it. I can still see that slow but steady trend in the right direction, and that keeps me going. I know, it sounds too simple to work, but after trying every complicated plan out there, I've realized that simple is what works. Your plan won't look exactly like mine. It just has to be something that you can do on your worst days, because those are the days that matter the most. Find your go-to lunches and dinners that are gonna allow you to stick with this, even when life gets messy. And if you need some help with that, click the link below and I'll send you a recipe every day for the next month. So that is one less thing that you need to think about. And then most importantly, get comfortable with slower but consistent results. Figure out how long it's gonna take you to reach your goal at 1 pound per week. Now, be real with yourself. If you keep tackling it with quick fixes and diets that you always quit, will you be at that goal on that date? Probably not. So you have got nothing to lose by giving this approach a go. Well, apart from a bunch of weight, pun intended. Step 3, stop starving yourself. This ties into what I just said, but I used to fall into this trap and I see it happening with so many women. So I'm gonna go into a bit more detail because maybe this is you too. You eat really well all day. You have your healthy breakfast, your salad for lunch, maybe some fruit as a snack. You're doing so good. But then 5 p.m. hits and you are standing in the kitchen, eating your kids' leftovers, or you get home from work and before you even start dinner, you've eaten half the cheese that was supposed to go on top, and then you feel guilty. Like you have no willpower, like you are just greedy. But here's what's actually happening. You're not greedy, you're hungry. Really, truly hungry. Your body is trying to get the energy that it needs because you haven't given it enough all day long. And when you eat too little for too long, your body fights back. It's not trying to sabotage you, it's trying to keep you alive. It can't tell the difference between your diet and a genuine famine. It's not your fault, it is your body doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Your hunger hormones go crazy, you get tired and cranky, you get obsessed with food, and then you mess up. Well, you mess up. You eat everything in sight, you feel awful about yourself, and the whole bloody cycle starts again. And if that is your cycle, you are not alone. What I had to learn was that meals should leave you satisfied. They shouldn't just take the edge off and leave you back in the kitchen an hour later. I had to totally change how I thought about food. Instead of how few calories can I eat, I had to start thinking, how much food can I get for my calories? It sounds like a small shift, but honestly, it will transform your relationship with food. And on that note, let's talk about the other piece of this, because it's not always about physical hunger. Real physical hunger builds up slowly. You start to think about food, your stomach maybe starts to rumble, you feel that gentle pull towards eating. It's not like an emergency, it's more of a signal from your body that maybe we should start thinking about getting some food soon. Emotional hunger, though, hits like a truck. Maybe it's 3 p.m. when you're stressed about that meeting, or 8 p.m. on the sofa. Even after you've had a big dinner, it's urgent, it's demanding, it wants something specific and it wants it now. Something sweet, something crunchy, something that will change how you're feeling. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Are you actually hungry, or are you bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired, emotional, or trying to distract yourself? Because I used to use food for literally everything, all of those. Bad day at work, wine and a takeaway. Good day at work, celebrate with a dinner out. Stressed about a deadline, entire multi-pack of Snickers. Bored on a Sunday afternoon, you will find me stood in front of the fridge. Tired but can't sleep yet, maybe a little snack will help me relax. Food had become my solution for every emotion, every situation, every transition in my day. The answer was food or drink. The scary part though was that I didn't even realise I was doing it. It was automatic. I'd find myself standing in front of the cupboard with absolutely no memory of deciding to get up and walk there. I'd finish a bag of something whilst I was watching TV and think, how did I eat all of that? Maybe you know that feeling too. Maybe you're not hungry but you're eating anyway. And then you beat yourself up about it. You promise to do better tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and the same thing happens again, and you're even more annoyed with yourself. I wish someone had told me earlier though that I didn't have to fix emotional eating overnight. I just had to start noticing it. So just start asking yourself when you realize that you're about to eat something, am I hungry or am I feeling something else? Not to judge yourself, not even to stop yourself, just to notice, because sometimes you're still going to eat the thing and that's okay. But awareness is the first step. The next step though is to notice the patterns. I started keeping a little note in my phone, and it wasn't like a food diary or tracking calories or anything like that, just a quick note about what I was feeling when I wanted to eat, but it wasn't actually hunger. So things like stressed about packing for the weekend, or bored after dinner, or celebrated finishing my project. And after a few weeks, I started to see some themes. Sunday afternoons were big for me. That restless, weekend-ending feeling always sent me to the kitchen. A mixture of dread, boredom, stress of the week ahead looming over me. And the hour between getting home from work and starting dinner was another danger zone. I was tired, I was transitioning out of work mode and into home mode, and as it turned out, I was also genuinely hungry a lot of the time too. Once I could see these patterns, I could start to address them. Not by restricting food, but by finding other ways to handle those feelings. So a healthy snack and a call to my best friend on the way home from work. And on a Sunday, a cup of tea and 5 minutes sat down planning out the week ahead just made me feel that little bit more in control. This awareness changes everything. You start to realize that most of the time, when you thought you were being bad with food, you were actually just being human. You were trying to take care of yourself in the only way that you know how. And the less you have to negotiate with yourself about every food choice, the easier this all gets. When you're eating enough during the day, and when you're addressing the real reasons behind why you're eating, you can stop judging yourself for being a human. And that is when weight loss stops feeling like an endless battle and it starts actually happening. All right, let's move on to the next one. Step 4 is build a routine that actually works. The same breakfast every day, the same 7 a.m. walk route, the same Friday night fake away, the same bedtime, even on weekends. I know that sounds restrictive, but it's actually the opposite, because when you don't have to think about the basics, you have more mental energy for everything else. When your days have a rhythm, you can stop feeling like all you do is think about your diet. You're not constantly starting over or trying to juggle how you're gonna hit all your goals. That's when things finally start to feel steady and easy. I fought this for ages because my life was chaotic. It had no routine. I worked away a lot, I had busy weekends that never looked the same as the one before. I had this two-pronged limiting belief that A, I thrived on not being trapped in a routine, and B, routine wouldn't work with my lifestyle anyway. Well, weird thing, just like kids and dogs love routines and boundaries, we do as grown-ups as well, no matter how hard we protest. This isn't about being rigid or forced into a box, it's about creating a foundation that becomes so effortless and solid that all the other crazy actually feels a bit more manageable. I realized that when you're not constantly making decisions about the basics, you finally have energy for the stuff that actually matters. Because with weight loss, the less you have to decide in the moment, when tiredness or hunger or stress can totally screw up your choices, the more likely you are to stay on track. Even when everything else is falling apart, you are still going to be making that slow, steady momentum towards your goal. And that leads so nicely into step 5, becoming someone who just lives like this. This is what separates the women who lose weight from the women who actually lose weight forever and keep it off and are able to stop spending their entire life and mental energy worrying about what to eat and how much they weigh. If you take this approach to your weight loss, there's a moment where it's all going to click into place. When your healthy choices stop feeling forced, you're going to stop being on a diet and you're going to realize, hey, I just somehow started living healthier. You're making choices now because they feel better, not because some plan tells you to. You choose the salad because you know you're going to feel good after it, not because carbs are bad. You go for a walk because you like how it makes you feel, not because you have to burn calories. Now, I know this all sounds fanciful because I never thought I would be that person. I used to be so out of control around sweet stuff. I would dread working out. I spent hours every day doing calorie maths. But now, I can have one cookie and feel satisfied. I get itchy feet if I haven't moved my body that day. And I just eat what I know my body needs. One question helped me get here. How does this serve me right now? Let's work through an example. Eating one cookie. Well, maybe I do just want a sweet treat and I know that's what I'm seeking from this cookie. Knowing that 3 or 4 or 5 cookies, which I would have eaten before, they're not gonna give me any more of a hit than just this one. But maybe I realize I'm actually hungry. So when I ask, how would this cookie serve me right now? The answer is not very well. So maybe I'll make a quick chicken wrap or grab some fruit. Or grab some fruit. I'm not saying to myself, you can't have the cookie or you shouldn't have the cookie. I'm not saying to myself, you can't have the cookie or you shouldn't have the cookie. I'm just getting really clear on what I actually need and addressing that. Let me be clear though, this didn't happen overnight. It was messy and gradual and full of moments where I got it completely wrong. In the beginning, I would still find myself at a restaurant absolutely paralyzed by choices. Should I get the salad? Oh, but then I'll be hungry in an hour. Or should I get the pasta? Oh no, I can't have that, that's bad. Or the grilled chicken, yeah. No, but that sounds boring and I'm supposed to be celebrating. But slowly, I started asking myself variations of that question. Not what should I eat, but what do I actually want? What will make me feel good in 2 hours? What sounds like it's gonna satisfy me right now? And then sometimes I would choose a salad and I would just add chicken or avocado because I knew that would help me keep full. Or sometimes I'd get the pasta because I really did crave some comfort food, but I'd just eat half. Or sometimes I'd eat the burger because it sounded amazing and it tasted amazing and I would enjoy every single bite without guilt. And every one of those choices was choosing what served me in that moment. And it was realizing there isn't one black and white perfect choice for any scenario that changed everything. It was about making conscious choices that were actually compassionate to myself and my body and putting my best interests at heart. It was treating myself as something I really cared about and I wanted the best for, like I do for my kids and my dog and my husband, and let's face it, everything else in my life apart from me. I remember one vacation when I realized that my relationship with food had turned a corner and was unrecognizable. Old me would have hit the buffet every night, piled my plate high and felt sick after. I would have made the absolute most of the free bar and had pina coladas by the pool all day long, but instead I asked myself how I wanted to feel. And I found myself naturally eating kind of like I did at home. For the first time in my life, I had days on vacation where I didn't touch a drop of alcohol. I didn't need to and I didn't want to. I wanted to feel fresh, get up, enjoy the day, make the most of it, not feel bloated and sluggish. And if I'm honest, this still shocks me because I spent decades doing the opposite. This transition, it took time, not weeks, it took months, but now it is who I am. And if you follow the steps that I've covered so far, you will become that person too. The person who makes healthy choices by default because they care about how they feel, not a number on a scale. And that's why it underpins how you set your goals too. The ones that rely on black and white choices, which actually just make you feel like you're failing every day. Things like, I'm gonna lose 2 pounds this week, I'm never gonna eat sugar, I'm gonna work out every single day. Those goals set you up to feel like a failure. But instead, working towards that list of how you want to feel that we worked on in step 1, based on constructive, realistic, process-based goals, life-changing. Things like, eat a protein-based breakfast, eat dinner at the table with no screens, prep my lunches to take to work. These are things that you can actually control and they build the life and the body that you want. 5 things to focus on. Even in 6 months, if you follow this, you will be unrecognizable. You will lose the weight and more importantly, you'll keep it off. Most weight loss advice focuses on the losing part. How to cut your calories, what exercises burn the most fat, which foods to avoid. I've made videos about all that stuff. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to check those out as well. But nobody is talking about the keeping it off part. 95% of people who lose weight will gain it all back within 5 years. 95%. That is not because they lack willpower or they're lazy. It's because they learned how to lose weight. But they didn't change their identity, they didn't change their thought process or their lifestyle or their relationship with food. They never learned how to live as someone who maintains their weight. Those are 2 different skill sets. So of course, they hit their goal weight and then what? Go back to eating normally, stop tracking, relax the rules. No wonder the weight comes back. The difference with what I just shared is that every single step, the goal setting, the sustainable approach, the adequate eating, the routine building, the identity shift, all of it is designed for maintenance, but from day one. When you focus on process goals like getting enough protein, eating mindfully, instead of outcome goals like 50 pounds, you build habits that last beyond reaching a number on the scale. And on that note, if you want to know the most effective habits that you should start working on, in this video, I cover the 7 habits that helped me lose 55 pounds. Just give it a click to check it out.